Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. I've got an important update to share with you guys. What we're seeing inside of the Tether is it's breaking down from a long-term uptrend as Bitcoin is now breaking out once again, making a new high in the process. This means a lot of new money is going to be coming back in from long-term holders holding Tether and other stable coins trickling back into the crypto markets. And we do see this next major run. I believe we're going to see another massive move, especially in the long-term future as well. I'm going to break it down for you inside of the charts, so stay all the way to the end so you don't miss out on any of this exciting information. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. So here we are to take a look at Bitcoin. As we can see, jumping into the shorter time frames, Bitcoin is having a very nice move. To start off today, Bitcoin is seeing this big green candle coming in. We're having a lot of new buy support stepping in as we've been more or less trending on this trend line right here. So we've been wondering, are we going to see some type of fake out where this drops all the way back down to retest the range lows, or is this going to end up truly breaking out and making a new high? So far, the market looks pretty bullish. What we are seeing on the daily for here, you can kind of look at it two different ways. You can look at this as a lower high and bearish divergence, I guess. Or, in my opinion, what we're seeing is actually lower low on the RSI, or we're seeing a lower low on the OBV here, and we're seeing higher highs in price. So far that to me is hidden bullish divergence. I think that we're going to end up seeing one more true high as we get running up here. Probably closer to about $37.3 thousand. And that's my main target when I'm watching Bitcoin right here, is if we have another high, I think that it's probably going to go to it. I think that it's going to go to at least $37.3 thousand on the low end before we maybe make another correction like that and go up even higher, or if we end up running straight up to my main target at 40K. That would be the most, optimal move for the bulls, I guess you could say. That would be the most bullish scenario going in here. The only thing with that is the fact that it would mean that the market is much more bullish than people are giving it credit for. Having almost no real correction all the way throughout this time. Having no real correction throughout this entire time over here, and then having a move go all the way up to 40K, that would show a significant amount of bullish momentum. But after that move, I would expect some type of correction, and it could be a decent one at that. Pretty volatile. Overall, I think that we can still see that run all the way up to $48.5 thousand. That's always been the big target that I've talked about ever since March, when we actually started flipping 25K and breaking out of that move. And we really just held it throughout that entire time. And I said how big picture, as long as we're above 25K, we're most likely coming all the way back up to 48.5 thousand. And so far with the market proving every single sort of move this far, I'm just going to continue to stick to that plan. I think it's a good idea to take some profit at 40K. That's a smart move. I wouldn't blame anybody for doing that. If we go all the way up to 48.5 thousand, I think that that's another great opportunity to take some profit. I think that the big thing we need to remember is big picture, especially if you're new to these cycles, is not to get too carried away taking major profits. I think that a lot of people are going to try to, and if you don't have a lot of money, you should, especially if you're up significantly. If you're trading low caps and anything like that, and you get up, 1x, 5x, 10x, take some profit. Take the majority of your profit. That's a smart thing to do. But when we're talking big picture with like Bitcoin or Ethereum or maybe Chainlink or some of these different cryptos, then you got to remember that the best thing that we can do is just simply hold those cycles long term. High caps hold long term. Low caps that are in a lot of profit, I would take some profits on those. It's just the smart thing to do, even if it's only taking out your initial investment. That guarantees that you have money left over, whether you throw that into a high cap like Bitcoin, Ethereum, something just to put away long term. That's a smart thing as well. But the thing I always think about long term is the fact that we're way below our all-time high. We still haven't even had our halving yet. I think the best thing we can do is still look to hold the majority long term. But if we see a quick and big impulse up to 40 and 50K, I mean, to me, I'm going to take some profit. I can't say what to do as far as everybody else, but that's just what I'm going to be doing, at least in the shorter time frames. Now, one of the big things I wanted to talk about going into kind of this move that we're seeing, this breakout that we're seeing, has everything to do with the US dollar tether. Now, it's not like because the tether is going down, we're seeing Bitcoin going up, but we do see a correlation between these. They have their own sort of relationship inside of the market. And what we see inside of the tether market has been a long-term consolidation after a very big breakout. And we see these two counter trade each other. In this move, right at the very bottom, after we just came back down and retested this main trend line, and had this breakout, was our bear market. That was the very high of the market for Bitcoin, was the low of this move. And then the high of the dollar tether was actually the June capitulation here. Even though we made one more high right here, this was a lower high. It came all the way back up to retest that all-time high, and that was FTX collapse here. So what we see is a counter trend inside of this, which obviously makes sense. I mean, what happens inside of this market is whenever this market is going up, people are selling their Bitcoin, they're selling their altcoins, and they're rushing into Tether for stability. And that's what we're seeing inside of the bear markets. Now, anytime this market is coming back down to retest its trend line, it's when Bitcoin is always at a really high point in value. And so to see this thing breaking down from a very high point shows that the market is flipping bullish. It shows that there's more momentum coming back into the bullish favor. What we've seen is a breakdown from a very long-term triangle formation, which I believe is ultimately going to result in us coming all the way back down for a retest of this main trend line in the same way it always has, to signal, the next bull cycle in its path. I won't be surprised if we come back down, make this sort of a move, make a big, sort of breakout on the upside, or a fake breakout, a bull trap I should say, before we come back down and retest that. Don't be surprised if something like that ends up happening. But big picture, this is going to end up breaking down even more, and this is the confirmation that we needed for the bulls to really get ahead in this cycle. And so I still think that we're going to see the next move going up to 48,500, and that could be something that we see right here. If we come all the way back down, retest the highs, see this bull trap all the way back up, it could mean Bitcoin makes that sort of correction that we're talking about. Who knows how big that is, but it could get very volatile is all I'm trying to say. So as we're watching Bitcoin here, going into this next move, 40K is the main target. We're also looking at a potential retest of the bottom of that high, being about $37,500. I think that that's where we're headed in the minimum. We're going to run up to this high, potentially there, see some type of correction on the way back down. But big picture, guys, this thing is looking exceptionally bullish. The second that we got above 20K, in my opinion, pointed to a move all the way up here, being the lower high at 48,500. And the second that we come in and hit those levels, I think that that's where we could see a genuine correction. But having 200 days of consolidation right in this move points to a significant increase to the upside. We've never really seen this type of a consolidation happen unless we're looking at maybe something that played out in 2017. Because in 2017 we had this ascending triangle to begin the new cycle, but it wasn't quite the exact same as what we're seeing here. This was a more obvious setup, but it was, a similar setup nonetheless. As far as time goes, from the high of the move to us breaking out was 200 days. So we had just gone through approximately 280 days. So we had just gone through 280 days of sideways accumulation to begin this new cycle, and then we went through another 205 days in the ascending triangle before this thing broke out into its next high. But it was a slow and consistent uptrend. It wasn't anything too crazy. We still took our time growing and building, but inside of this current cycle, we had a similar type of move. As we've been building this new trend line, all this was a kind of a similar sort of pattern. It wasn't the exact same thing as the ascending triangle, but it was a similar sort of consolidation where from the high of it to the point of us breaking out was almost exactly 200 days, pretty much the same time in between. The only difference here is the fact that our June low, in my opinion, going all the way into the FTX collapse, that 200-day period is pretty much the same thing inside of an accumulation. The only difference is we did get that final sort of shakeout, that final sell-off here that happened going into the FTX collapse. But looking at altcoins, ETH always maintained a higher high. It never made a lower low. So a lot of things ended up bottoming in June. So when I look at this entire chart and I look at Bitcoin, I view this entire thing is basically, the same sort of thing as Bitcoin's 2017 bottom as well. To me, it looks similar, even though this is a little bit more symmetrical, where we see a perfect sort of double bottom. The one that we saw with Bitcoin this year was a lot more similar relating to this capitulation. It's just the fact that it went and made a lower low. This one was very similar, except it was a lot more symmetrical. It held support right at that prior low, whereas Bitcoin made that lower low. But we do see the same sort of thing. The time is the same. This one's a little bit longer by about 80 days. But in our current cycle for Bitcoin, looking at this 200 days inside of this entire thing, and then spending another 200 days after we broke out of the high of that move, being 25K, that is really where the next cycle can come in. And the next cycle, in my opinion, is a very big one at that. We might see a lengthier period of consolidation. We run all the way up to 48,500. We might have to see a decent correction after before we go into another sort of consolidation. Who knows how long it takes. But I think the big picture, it's obvious to tell that this market is insanely bullish. So this is what I'm watching out for long term. Hope you guys like the video. If you guys want to end up seeing what I'm investing in big picture, if you guys want to follow anything in my private groups or just follow my free social media, links are in the description below. To go over to my private group, you can find it on my website. If you guys go to my website, it's a one-time payment, lifetime access. If you want to see anything I'm buying, selling, and trading in the market, NFT picks, stocks, commodities, anything I'm investing in long term, make sure you guys go ahead and check it out. It'll help you guys a lot big picture. As we get into this next cycle, there's going to be a lot of altcoins that blow up for great opportunities, great returns, and this is where the opportunity is really made. As we get in, Bitcoin's breaking out, things are going up, it's getting crazy, and I'm going to be sharing with you guys all of my picks along the course of the cycle. So if you guys want to see it, links are in the description. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. With that being said, I will catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.